All right, cool. Well, I think we're back to it. We'll take this one from the top. So
Yeah.
full disclosure, we've spoken just a little bit, but not too much. We're just gonna start right off the top here and jump back into it.
Yeah, it's like riding a bike. We've been off the bike for a while, so we had to get back on. We fell over, but now we're back.
Yes, we are back. So let's start with our hometown heroes, the Guardians. I want to jump right into them because we have not got to discuss it, but they are on a blazing fire path right now. 9-1 in the last 10 games. I believe it's 18-2 over the last 20, and if not, it's 17-3. You know, they are on fire. Uh, I have a fear that they're peaking too early. I think I might have mentioned this to you already, but let's not take away from the glory that this is. How amazing have they been?
Love it. I love everything about this team. I've been watching more and more down the stretch. I love Quan. I love the pitching rotation. I'm glad the guys are getting healthy again. And they're fun, man. They're young. They put the ball in play. They've got one of the lowest swing and miss rates in the league. And my favorite stat ESPN just put up was of all the youngest teams to make the playoffs, every one of those teams, if they're the youngest team in the league and they make the playoffs, they've gone to the World Series since 1945. So we're in that group now. So let's just book travel and make it happen.
Yeah, we're not saying anything, but if you look at the stats, you know, the stats might be saying something. Not to get ahead of ourselves, you know, but this team is fun. They're scrappy. I could see them going a long ways, and I think it's fun that they're just, you know, they're a team that runs the base path hard. They're a team that 1 through 9 is able to hit. You know, they're able to get on base. We don't have anybody that's really walking out there that's you know, our anchor power hitter. I don't think this team is considered to be in any way like a power team, but they're like death by 1,000 cuts, and they do it every single night, and they have for, you know, it's been the last 10 games, 20 games. It's been a month and a half straight now. You know, they've been lightning rods every single night. I mean, right now I've got it on my side screen. It's the bottom of the 10th inning, and we're tied. You know, Quan's up to bat. You want to be a hero? You know,
Yep,
how
yep.
fun are they?
Yeah, and I said this the last time we talked was when the chips are down, like they come to play. They smacked the Twins around when we needed some big wins in that 5 game series, and then they swept the White Sox after the White Sox talked all that trash. So that's a great way to close out the division and set it up. And I know we don't want to talk too much about them because we still got, you know, what is it, a week or 10 days left. And they're going to mess the rotation around and get it where they want to. But it's exciting. It's fun.
Yeah, very fun, and it's all going to shake out here at the end. You know, the seating is starting to become more and more clear, but
Mhm.
like you said, we've got some time for that to all settle over the next week, and we'll be talking about them a bunch over the next month or so. So,
Yeah, I
um,
just don't want to take them for granted. I think we do this a lot of times. We're like, oh, they're young. They're going to stick around. It'll be the next 4 or 5 years. No, like now's the time. Like, let's get on it. Let's make it happen. We don't want to be looking in 3 weeks and get swept out and then be in last place next year.
Yeah, and I mean they're playing like a team. They're a fun team, you know, and that in baseball feels like it matters more than almost anywhere else, where you have to be kind of cohesive and also just individually locked in, and they're all 1 through 9 locked in, so that's cool. My did you see that? I'm going to throw it out here right off the bat this week. There was in this game this evening an immaculate inning. De Los
I saw that.
Santos,
I did. Yeah.
9 pitches in a row, very beautiful. And he has kind of a cool little fade he does at the end after the ninth pitch, where he turns around, fades off, and kind of like points up at the sky. You know, like top to bottom, we've got some fun pitching, we've got hitting, we've got fun plays every night. So I wanted to hit you with a live. Did you see that? And I thought that'd be cool.
Yeah, and we needed it. I think was that in the eighth? I think
Yes.
it was in the eighth. We needed that bad, so that was perfect. So yeah, I love that. I'm gonna get mine in because we're gonna transition to the NFL. I got two. One, DJ Hazmat. If you guys have not heard of this dude, look him up. Get on his Facebook page or his YouTube. DJ Hazmat. He's this guy that raps over the NFL game, and he does the Browns specifically. And we've all seen this before, but nobody does it like this guy. One, he's good. He's very talented. And two, he gets some really great analysis like on the game. It's not like, oh, we ran the ball good today. Like it's deep. He goes over secondary coverages. I mean, it's good. Like check it out. It's fun to watch.
It is. It's actually very. It's impressive. I was most impressed with how quickly the turnaround is happening. He is somehow getting these videos out within like 24 hours of events going down, and they're fully produced. Like very impressive guy.
Yeah, check it out. Hey, DJ Hazmat, come check out us on the show. Come be a guest. So,
Yes.
the other thing I'm sure not too many other people saw, but Colton's going to put it on for us. Boom, right there. But I got to hold the Lombardi Trophy this weekend. So, big shout out to 3Chi. If you haven't heard of that company, check them out. Google it. They're a great company. They've taken care of a lot of different people, a lot of different ways, and it's a good place. But my buddy owns it. He started it. And they're doing really well, and he's got a suite at the Colts game, so he invited me and the boys up, and high school friends and my kids and some of his friends all went to the game. It was an excellent game. I'm sure we're going to talk about it later, but yeah, they brought the Lombardi Trophy up at halftime, the 2006. So me and Peyton both held the same trophy, and we got some pics with it and got to touch it, and it was pretty cool.
I was so jealous all Sunday. The photos from the box and the game and how fun the game was, and then it's the trophy and yeah, what a fun weekend, man! You and the boys had to have been having a blast.
Yep, we're marking that one down. That was a good weekend. So
That's awesome. Well, I mean, let's dive right into the NFL if you want. Then, like,
let's
you
do
want to
it.
start with the game that you were sitting at, and then we can work our way over to the Brownies. That one was a fun game. The Chiefs losing. Was there something in the air?
Yeah, it was in the air. They sucked at third down, and that's what
That's
happened.
that's the air.
I will tell you, watching Patrick Mahomes live is scary. That dude is.
Yeah.
You cannot get your hands on him. When you think he's down and he can't do anything, he just flicks the ball. I mean,
And Kelsey
and
is so frustrating to see live too, because it feels so
ev-
obvious.
everyone's saying double cover him. It's third down, and he runs
Doesn't
one
matter
route, and he's in. There's no one around him. There's just no one around him.
every
So,
time.
but yeah, it was a great game. So there was a fake field goal. There's missed extra points. There was a punt, fumble, a muffed punt down on the 1 yard line, a game-winning drive, touchdown to win the game. I mean, it had everything you could want. It was an awesome game. So.
That's awesome. That's a good one. We had our game knocked out a little bit earlier this week. We knocked it out Thursday evening, taking home the dub. We haven't talked since the week before also, so we have that game to kind of quickly just graze back to and glaze over. That Jets game was pretty disastrous at the end. Overall, I thought they played a pretty good game. The last couple minutes just were it was one of the biggest collapses I've ever seen. It was a lot of pain. We don't need to rehash that. So we move forward. We got done with the Steelers. I think that was a pretty solid showing, but there's definitely room for improvement across the board. And the defense was giving me the heebie-jeebies. What were you seeing out there?
Yeah, same thing. The secondary still doesn't look like they're on the same page for one. They made Trubisky look like he's a lot better than he was. And then, I mean, still love what Brissett's doing. The play calling, the offense has been good. I mean, they're scoring a lot of points, more than what everyone was expecting them to do. The defense needs to figure it out. And I know we suffered even more injuries coming up through the game. And we had the Myles Garrett car accident yesterday. So we'll see if he bounces back. But the defense was supposed to be our main building block, and right now it's not. We're struggling on the defensive end, and I'll be honest, the Falcons are underrated. They've got a good little offense. They've got some good pieces. They know how to move the ball, and they're a lot more dangerous than people are giving them credit for.
Let's play a game real quick.
I'm ready.
All right. So over the first couple weeks here, I'm going to give you some statistics. And I want you to tell me, is it the Browns running backs or a Atlanta Falcons running back?
Ooh, okay.
We've got 62 carries to 49 carries. Who's got the carries? Is it
And
Nicholas Chubb or Cordero Patterson?
62 to what?
49.
Yeah, 49 is Nick Chubb.
49 is Cordero Patterson. Nick Chubb has 62 carries on the year.
I thought that they were splitting carries a lot more than that.
I know. He's actually been more of a workhorse. Now, here's a fun one: 341 yards to 302 yards.
Well, Chubb's got more. He's leading the
Chubb's
league.
got more. Chubb's got more. And then Chubb's got 4 touchdowns to 2 Cordero touchdowns. But the carry count was what jumped out at me. I didn't realize he was that high. I think it's great. Averaging 20 a game at the moment, right? That's where
Well,
that'll
they
put him.
had who's their running back that they were splitting carries with in game one and he got hurt? Was it Williams? I can't remember what his name is. With him going down, they were planning on that being a little bit more of a split backfield, and the rookie has not looked great. One, he's not carrying the ball well, and I think he already has a fumble. He had a major fumble in the Seattle game, and I think he had one in week 2. So I think it's out of necessity at that point because I think they would like him a little bit more split out. He only had 150 carries last year, if I'm not mistaken. So for him to already have 40, and
Yeah,
we're only,
50.
2 or 3 games in?
It's impressive.
Yeah.
His entire body of work coming up against us here, I'm not sure what we're going to see, to be honest, with this defense playing the way that it is. And I would not be surprised at all if he had a big day this weekend.
I believe me, Mariota's going to have a big day. If you stream quarterbacks in fantasy, get him on your roster because that dude is moving the ball. He's got some really elite pass catchers, and he's running the ball too, getting some good yards and some third downs.
This is going to be an interesting game. So ESPN has those matchup predictors on the site. They have it at 50.1 to 49.9. They don't want to make a call in any direction either way. And, I don't blame them because the Falcons are frisky. I think the Browns are going to win this game. I do. I think that, Stefanski and Brissett make a good team, and they're very solid. I think that if Nick Chubb can show up and continue to go to work like he has, we're going to beat this team. But the defense has to be, not a Swiss cheese. I mean, they were able to do it the second half of the Steelers game and at least lock up a little bit. That's all we need. We just need them to block it up a little bit. And actually, statistically today, I saw some defensive stats that had us in the top 10 defensively on average for giving up first downs and different things. So it's been kind of messy all over the NFL to start the season, which isn't so uncommon. They just really need to pull it together. We can see it with our own eyes. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like the stats, that whatever else, it's like something is wrong when there's just guys flying around wide open every week.
Yeah, yeah. Here's my question for you: now after we've seen Brissett for 3 games, and it's only 3 games, it's a snapshot. Would you rather the Browns have either re-upped Baker or got Brissett or made a lesser trade for Jimmy G and kept all this draft capital instead of going after Watson and giving up everything that we gave up for him because they're winning games, and would we have a better shot long term with all the picks?
Phew. I don't like this hypothetical. It feels like so many things can't be undone, even in the hypothetical. I think that at the moment where we were thinking we were going to lose Watson for the entire year and there was a Jimmy G chance, I think that Jimmy G in this offense would be really impressive. I mean, I think that he would be a slight bump up over what we were getting out of Brissett right now, and he's doing really well. I mean, statistically, every week, Pro Football Focus has him ranked really high. I've seen a lot of people looking at him, and they're saying it's similar. Like, if you're looking at numbers and even just tape, it's similar to what, Matt Ryan had been doing a couple years prior when they made a deeper playoff run. So it's just...
Well, he's not getting pressured. That's the big difference. So Brissett has never had an offensive line like this or the play action. So he's getting a lot of time back there, and he doesn't have people in his face or at his feet, and he's making good throws. He's got some zip.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive. It really is. And you don't have to be amazing with this team. You just have to be sufficient, and in some ways you need to be good. And he's been good,
And here's my take on it. I'd still rather do it because you can't win a Super Bowl without a star quarterback. That's my feeling on it,
Yes.
especially moving forward, because you're going to have injuries during the season. You're going to have things fall apart. But if you've got one of those top 5, 7 quarterbacks, you can win every week. You can make it happen no matter what.
Every single week. And to tackle onto that, if we get through the Brissett era, we usher in Watson here later in the season. We now have Brissett rolling into a playoff situation where if anything was to happen, he can actually step in and play. And we don't, we could have an Eagles situation where like you can continue to compete through any scenario of games at the end of the year. So it's nice to have a backup that's doing as well as he's doing, and he's really playing for the team. I think the guys want to play for him. You can tell.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Amari Cooper has played great. I
Oh yeah,
did not expect this kind of Amari Cooper, especially with Brissett back there. And the guy's been incredible. I mean, we've got, 2 games over 100 yards. He's got a couple TDs. I was expecting him to get 50 yards a game, just kind of possession receiver. But he's been a real number one out there, and he's been a great route runner, which everybody already knew. But he's creating space, and he's doing some good things out there.
yeah. And the roster that Andrew Barry's put together here is so interesting. I mean, uh, obviously Garrett was not somebody that like was chosen specifically by Andrew Barry, but extended. His personality, the Chubb personality, the Cooper personality, the people that they're attracting, even Brissett, these guys are like very team first, and I am a sucker for it. Like, I just love that stuff. I love watching the press conferences and seeing these guys like just really loving the team, loving football. That it's just fun.
Okay, 2 things, because you mentioned 2 people in the press conferences. I want your take after week 2. Chubb
Yep.
said, blame me. It's my fault. Should have went down. Thoughts on that? And then the Myles Garrett, hey, we didn't deserve to be booed. It's hard to have the hometown crowd give up on us. We didn't deserve that.
I don't care. Miles Garrett can say whatever he'd like to say there. People are going to boo, and he can feel the way he feels about it. Yeah, it'll be fine. We moved on past that one. It's tough
There
to have your
was
feelings hurt.
there was someone booing at his car accident. Said that driver standing on the side of the road booing. So
Oh,
he's really gonna be mad
no.
about that.
I just watched the body cam footage before we
Yeah.
hopped on here, and yeah, I saw him. He was over on the other side of the road. Oh, that's messed up. No, so Nick Chubb's comments, they're respectful. They're very football first. He's taking the blame. Everybody took the blame, but it's just that was just the collapse of utter proportions that should be laid on. I feel like nobody else than, if anything, the defense. That was wild. I've just
Not
not
Nick
seen
Chubb.
anything like
Nick Chubb,
not
it's not
Nick
your fault, my
Chubb.
dude.
No,
Come
you
on.
were a hero. If nothing, you had one of the better games we've seen in a long time, buddy. Like, that was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Not your fault. And I get it. He's gone down at the 1 yard line, I think once before, if not twice. So
Yeah,
I
but
I get
there's
what he's saying.
like, I feel like they were looking for it though. Like, even Kareem Hunt came out and said he was trying to, but he just couldn't. Speed going around the corner, get the first down. He got pushed out. I felt like they were looking to go down, but then he saw the opportunity to score and go up 2 scores with a minute left. I mean, statistically, we were at 99.9. Like it was
The
like.
last 2,292 games have been won.
But if anyone was going to do it, it would be us. And I feel like,
Sure.
if anything, it's fitting. It fits the rest of everything that I've ever had as a Browns fan. And I sat there and felt no pain. It was the weirdest thing. My girlfriend came back downstairs. She left with a minute left after the long touchdown, thinking, well, I'm going to go take a nap. It's Sunday, whatever. And she came down later, and I said, well, we lost. And she was like, what? And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, you're messing with me. Because I was just like, I
Yeah.
have no soul.
Dead inside.
They took it from me. But they give it back every week. Last week, they're drawing me back in. If we can beat this Falcons team and we can do it well, I'm going to be like really pumped, man. This is a fun team.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I was super mad for a couple days, but it's like, okay, we probably shouldn't have won that Panthers game because we kind of booted that one away.
Yep.
And we got a lucky call on Brissett that gave us the 15 yards to kind of give us a chance. So either way, if we won the Jets, we probably should have lost the Panthers. So we just need to put these teams away. And we did a better job against the Steelers, but even that was a lot closer than I was expecting. So I'd love to see them just come out and dominate the Falcons, but I think they're scrappy. I think it's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. So, thinking of other teams that are looking a little rough in some ways, um, I see here in our doc you have put Bronc-OH-NO'S.
Yeah, they're awful. I can't watch them. I've got so much fantasy collateral tied up with the Broncos too. And okay, first off, Javonte Williams is lightning in a bottle.
He's a
The dude's a
hero.
stud. He's a stud. And I'm already mad that he's splitting carries with Melvin Gordon. But Melvin Gordon looks good. So,
Yeah.
okay, I get it. But then you're going to run out a third back to do third downs? What? I don't get that. Their play calling is still awful. They can't decide if they want to go for a field goal or a fourth down. Like, my wife can't pick out where to go out to eat. I mean, it's unreal what they're doing there. And Russ doesn't look good. And
No.
everybody was saying, oh, Russ is back, and he led them to that win. They scored 11 points.
Yeesh.
11. And he was bad. He's holding onto the ball. He's not fast. He doesn't avoid tackles like he used to. And some of these throws were like skipped, like he was playing left field and trying to throw it home with the other hand. It was
Does
bad.
he even have the team? You know, like, have you watched the sideline cams where he's trying to get him to yell out pass or run? Did you see that?
No.
Oh my gosh. You have to. I might pull it up right now mid podcast for you to see it. He has literally they're on the sidelines and he's begging the players to yell pass or run to help the defense know whether it's a pass or a run in an NFL game in an NFL stadium.
I just can't. I can't take him. I mean, I saw the warm-up video where he was practicing and running out of the tunnel, giving air high fives and running
Yes.
to the 50-yard line. I can't do this, dude.
He runs
I
the
just can't do
entire
it.
like all the way through the first drive. He runs it ghost every single week.
Yeah, I don't know. And he's just too much for me. And if he was a Browns quarterback, I'd be cheering his ass on, but I just can't. I
No,
just
I'm
can't
glad
do
that
it.
it's him and Nat Hackett just having the worst time out there. Nat Hackett stares into the camera, just like stares directly. He's his eye, and it's like he doesn't know what he's doing, and you can feel it, and he knows you can feel it. You know, like it's the
Yeah,
weirdest thing.
I just don't know. They really have no idea how to work the clock. My kids played Madden. They're yelling, "Take a timeout, snap the." I mean, it's
Anything.
awful.
I don't
And
get
they've
how
got
it
a
can
lot
be
of
that
talent.
bad. How is it that bad? Like you
And their
wouldn't think
defense
it's
is good.
possible.
Their defense is very good, and they're getting no publicity because the offense is a mess. But their defense is very good, very, very, very good. Scheme's good, players are good. They've got the back end really tight, and that's the only reason they're even in a couple of these games. Here's the thing: I think they can pull it together still, because the West isn't as strong as I thought it was going to be. But I don't know. They're frustrating to watch. They're one of the worst teams for me to watch.
I mean, winning 10-11 and then acting like that is anything to be super excited about is that's pathetic. It's such a sad that team is so bad. What's wrong? Something is so
And
wrong.
and it's been reported, everybody's talked about it, and we were going to talk about it last week, but the home crowd was literally yelling down the
Yes.
play clock so that they wouldn't get another delay of game or have to use a timeout. And they weren't being sarcastic. They were literally trying to help, because I've seen that look. I've been to a lot of Cleveland Indians or Guardians and Browns and Cavs games. I've given that look where you're just like, what in the hell is going on here? The whole stadium looked like that. It was insane.
Yeah, I work with a Broncos fan. He lives in
Ugh.
Colorado, and it is so fun right now. So fun. This team is so bad. It's so fun to be like, what's going on? Because
I,
you've known for years the people that ask us, so what's going on with that little
yeah,
like, and it's just so fun to ask. It's so fun to be like, so how are
yeah.
things? I know it's pretty rough.
And they're probably want to talk about the Nuggets. They're trying to get back to the Nuggets talk.
I'm sure they
So
do.
I have the Bronc-OH-NO'S as an exposed team. Do you got anybody else that got exposed the last couple weeks, or
Yeah.
teams that you feel like are frauds?
I feel like the Chargers are being exposed, but it's not that they're exposed as much as like exposed to injury. That
Yeah.
team is just like exposed to a curse or something. It's sad. Like I feel like another year of this could easily happen, and then we're talking about Justin Herbert in a whole sort of sad light of like what it could have all been. We're not that far off of that. The rising star that's starting to sputter right now. It doesn't take long. I mean, Mayfield was in a similar spot where he's a hero to a very quickly zero to a quarterback on a team barely.
And you know what? Baker came to mind just because, he's out there trying to gut it out, Herbert is. It might be best just to shut him down for 3 weeks and get him completely healthy. Because if he takes a bad hit now, especially with Slater as left tackle out, that could be it. Like
Yeah.
you are in some serious trouble there. So that's just me. They've got a soft schedule coming up anyways, the next 3 or 4 games. So if it was me, I think I sit him down and I don't let Dr. Giggles give him an injection into his rib cage, because that scares me too. So yeah. Do you have anybody else besides Chargers?
I think the Saints. I think the Saints are bad. I think
You've been on
we've
them.
we have just beat on that so much, but I think they're bad, and it's so provably just there. Here it is for everyone to see every week. Jameis Winston cannot be a quarterback that wins football games. He can get us fantasy points. He can scoop up, a ton of receptions. He'll just dump it off to Olave, which is awesome. But they are bad, and I just wanted to highlight that.
You hit that one on the head. I got a couple. Are the Colts better with Carson Wentz than Matt Ryan?
I don't know. Matt Ryan's looking pretty washed. I'm really feeling bad about my
He looked
whole
bad.
he's Matthew Stafford take. That's a pretty rough one.
Yeah.
He's looking terrible. He had the drive
bad.
though. He had the drive needed. You know?
Only because they got a weak ass personal foul call against them just at the beginning of that drive.
I mean,
That's it. He looked
was
bad.
Tim
He
Donaghy
looked
in
really
the
bad in
crowd?
person.
Did he run out? And
I don't know.
drop
And then this is gonna sound so stupid.
please.
I don't think the Ravens are good. I
Oh!
just don't.
He said it out loud.
They have these great explosive plays. They do. They've had them. They cannot run the ball. Besides Lamar, and some of them are designed, but a lot of them are just broken plays. They cannot line up and give the ball to the running back and run the ball. And maybe they don't have to. But they're not good. I don't believe in them. They haven't been exposed, but I think it's coming.
Oh, a pre-exposed exposing. I like it.
Just
Just like a warning, just a flashing yellow light on the Ravens. I like it. Okay, we'll keep an eye on them. Anybody else? You have anybody
I've
else
got one
you've been
last one.
watching? Yeah, what are you looking
I've got
at?
one more. The Rams aren't good.
Oh, the Rams aren't good.
Okay, so against the Bills had what, 4 or 5 turnovers in
5.
that first game? 5? I know it was at least 4.
I think it was
So-
4 interceptions and a fumble. I don't.
What team do you know that got 4 turnovers and still got blown out? That's not good.
Not
Then they let the Falcons come back on them. They were never really in control of that game, and they had some lucky breaks from turnovers from the Falcons. So I do not believe in the Rams at all. Now, I'm not saying they can't pull it together, but right now they're not good. They're not that good.
They're looking a little sloppy. It's 3 weeks. We'll see. Maybe there's a hangover. Maybe they're just waiting to put their game together. We don't know. But I agree so far. I also think we obviously started that with the Broncos. They were rough, but the team across from the Niners, I think if that team gets to a point where they're all healthy and gelling in the exact opposite sense, the who showed up, I think that's one to watch on the who's going to be showing up. I like that team a lot. I think that if they start to gel, they could be a real force coming out of that division. So we'll see.
I
what
like them
happens.
better with Jimmy G back there too.
I do too. It just feels better all the way around. It's like the team was built with him in mind the first time. They didn't change that much when they put in Trey Lance, and now he's back. It's like we know we can do it. So just here he is again, and he is doing it.
Yeah. I've got the Eagles, the Dolphins, and the Jags under who showed up, and I'll just speak to the
Jags are so
Eagles
fun.
because I picked them preseason to go 8-1 in the first 9 games, and they look like they're doing it. Jalen Hurts has been great. A lot of that spin scheme, but he's throwing the ball. It's not all screens and slants. He's throwing the ball. He's running when he needs to, and probably even a little more than he needs to. But the real key, I feel like, has been A.J. Brown. He
Yeah.
has unlocked Devontae Smith. He's creating a little bit more running alleys, and the dude's still catching the ball. I mean, he is a monster. He was a monster in Tennessee, and he's doing the same thing in Philadelphia. And I think they look great. They didn't give up a ton for him, and they didn't sign him to a crazy contract. They paid the going rate for a young top tier wide receiver. So
Yeah.
give me the Eagles and give me all the Eagles.
Yeah. You got a superstar there. I was wrong. I was wrong. Bah, bah, bah. They are fun to watch. Actually, I really like that
Mm-hmm.
team. I thought they'd be fun to watch that whole time. I just didn't think they'd win, and they're winning, and they're doing it pretty convincingly. I heard a statistic today that Jalen Hurts is one of only a couple quarterbacks, if not the only one, that hasn't had a turnoverable ball or something like that, where he hasn't had a play
Wow.
where he's put a ball into any sort of danger at all in the first couple games. No almost picks, no like fumbles. I don't know.
That'll
Stat
catch up
check
to
me.
him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that'll come up.
Stat check me because he's a little reckless. But part of that's fun, and I think he's playing like a better version of Kyler Murray's Kyler Murray right now.
Yeah,
With a better team around him all the way around.
agreed. Do you got any notes on Dolphins? You think they're for real, or you think they just got lucky with all the injuries and the weather and everything down there?
I think that the spotter should be fired because I watched Tua get a concussion and then just get put back in the game a couple minutes later, which was pretty interesting. I mean, they said it was a
It
stinger.
looked bad.
They said it
It
was
looked
a
bad.
stinger and it hurt his back, and that's what caused the stumble. But I mean, wow, that was a lot. So that Dolphins game was really fun. I think that the Dolphins are legit. I think that they went toe to toe with the Bills, and I think in the end the Bills beat themselves on that game. But they were there. They were fighting that team, and that's a big piece of it. I know it was like 1,000 degrees, and those guys were dying.
Well, this is the funniest thing. So I actually heard this, and I had to Google it to make sure it was true, and it's true. And I didn't know this. So when they built Hard Rock Stadium, they did it, and they twisted the building so that during the 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock hour, the visiting sideline gets the majority of the sun, while the home sideline is in the shade. And there's like a 12-degree difference between the two sides of the field.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's actually a home field advantage during the day games where it's so much hotter on that side of the field for the opposing team. And they ran like 90 plus plays, I think,
Yeah.
on offense. So
Yeah, Allen had
those guys were
60,
whooped.
60 some passes. It's
And then the Dolphins play again this Thursday, and I think they only had like 40 offensive plays or something crazy.
Yeah, they have to hit the Bengals this Thursday night, and that's going to be what an interesting little matchup there. So, do you want to talk matchups heading into Week 4? Or you want to hit a little bit of like the divisions? See,
Let's do divisions.
okay, let's do divisions. So, looking at the divisions and where they stand right now, I'll just run down through it here. We've got the AFC. We'll do AFC East. Dolphins, Bills, Jets, Pats in that order. Dolphins are 3-0 at the top. We have the AFC West, where the Chiefs are at the top, but they're tied with the Broncos. 2-1, 2-1, and then we have the Chargers and Raiders. You got the AFC North with Browns and Ravens at the top, then Steelers, Bengals, kind of at the bottom. we're top and bottom there, flip flop 1-2, 2-1, and then AFC South, Jaguars, Colts, Titans, Texans, and the Jaguars are up top alone 2-1 there. So on the AFC side, the only team that is undefeated is the Dolphins. Everyone else in parity there. Tons of 2-1s, tons of 1-2s, and just a one singular 0-3. So, what do you think in AFC side? Anything jump out at you? Any division feeling the best division, worst division? What are you thinking?
I'm gonna be a homer. Best division, AFC North. I think
think so, too.
Cincinnati's underplayed, but they've got some talent to them. The Steelers aren't good, but they're not awful. They're not going to be in the top 5 picks next year. You know what I mean? They're going to struggle through, and Tomlin's a good enough coach. They're going to get some wins. And then, even though I don't believe in the Ravens, Lamar Jackson is incredible. He's on pace for like 68 touchdowns, something stupid.
Yeah.
So they're good, and we'll see when they play the Bills. I think this week how they match up. Worst division, I think it's going to be the South. I
Oof.
mean, the Jags are playing well, but Texans are bad. Colts don't look good.
I don't know.
Titans, I hate.
Hot take. I think the AFC West might be the bad division.
So that's who I gave the most question marks to.
Okay.
They've got the most question marks. I don't think the Raiders are 0-3 worthy, even
No.
though they're 0-3. I don't know what the Broncos are. I don't.
I think
The
that
Chargers are injured all over the place, so I think they're going to be a lot worse than what I was expecting. And the Chiefs don't look like the Chiefs.
no. No, it's a
So they're
weird
my
division.
question
I
mark
like your
division.
question marks. I think that makes a lot of sense because who it's funny, that's the one where you look at this and you go, "Oh, that's going to be a great division this year," right? But beforehand, and before they even get to cannibalize themselves yet, they're already in parity. Things are already a little weird, and they haven't even gotten to beat up on each other too bad. So, this is an interesting division. I guess question marks is probably a better way to put it. And currently, after 3 weeks, I think it's the worst one.
But hey, I can't argue
Just
with it. They're
watching
the
them.
only division with an 0-3 team, if you
Yep.
want to say that.
And the
So
Broncos are somehow 2-1, and I think that they're one of the worst teams on this board. So, it's a rough one.
you think that the four teams in the South are better than the four teams in the West, though?
I think that the Texans at 0-2-1 are a surprisingly okay team, and I think that
Yeah.
they're going to continue to play. They're going to get some wins. The Titans looked good this past week, better, I guess would be a way to put it. They were terrible the week before, like so bad. But I think Vrabel's going to get them to compete like they do. If Matt Ryan looks like a quarterback for any part of any game, the Colts are actually not a bad team, and they can be frisky as we've seen. But the real gem of the South is the Jaguars. That team is just really, it's a fun team. And I was thinking about this today, that the better the Jaguars are this year, the worse it is for Urban Meyer's legacy everywhere forever. It's how bad was he at his job that it was just an absolute shit show. Like,
Pretty bad.
had to be
Well,
horrible. It taints
yeah, and I
everything.
don't want. Yeah, I don't want to go too off target. And we had this written down a couple weeks ago, just never got to it. But how is Nebraska calling Urban Meyer and saying, "Come take this program"? And that was reported. That's not a rumor. That was actually reported. They reached out to him.
I mean,
They have to be insane. I just don't get it. I
because
mean, I don't know.
it wasn't just the team. It was everything. It was everything. He
Yeah,
can't
and
beat it. It's so
yeah,
bad.
and I kind of gave the thumbs down to Doug Peterson when we were talking about coaches, and everybody was treating him like the Messiah to come back. And you know what he's done, that coaching staff has done that I really enjoy. They said, "Hey, what are you good at?" "Oh, that's what we're going to do. You're good at rushing the passer? Guess what? I want you to stand over here and I want you to rush your passer. Oh, you're good at running up the middle? You're good at catching the ball out of the backfield? Christian Kirk, you catch 90% of your balls crossing the middle? Great. Guess what you're going to do all the time?" Like, that was the best thing they could do. They're playing to everybody's strength that's on that team, and the players have been resounding about how much they love the team and they're bought in and playing the program, and the results speak for themselves, man.
Yeah.
I think they could have beat the Chargers with Herbert.
Yeah, I think so too. That was a resounding win, but they could definitely have competed. And I think that in some ways, Urban Meyer could be the one to thank for how good they are right now. What I'm thinking is you're always a little bit better off with after a really bad breakup. The next person just feels so amazing right away. Doug Peterson is nothing amazing, but boy, does he feel awesome after Urban
Hmm.
Meyer. And he comes in bland as hell, puts in a regular NFL coach thing. Hey, let's actually coach and play to the team. And boom, we're adding gas to the fire right now. So, solid coach. I don't think he's anything amazing, but in the NFL, it doesn't take amazing at a coach level to win anything. It just
They
takes the
had
team.
Yeah, they had thousands of fans showing up with clown makeup and masks on last year, and they're what? Are they 3-0 right now? They're two and
Yeah.
one.
The
They lost to
Shad
the
Khans, the
Commanders.
Shad
Yeah.
Clowns.
Yes. So, all right. What about NFC? Who do you see as best division, worst division, and who has the most question marks?
Yeah, so on the NFC side, we've got a 3-0 up top there too. We've got the Eagles, The top of the NFC West, we got the Rams, the Vikings, the Packers, and Bears are all 2-1 in the NFC North, and then we've got the Bucks at the top of the NFC South. So all 2-1, 1-2s, except for our top guys there with the Eagles. I think the best division that I'm looking at here, like if you're just talking teams all the way around that can compete, I don't know, the NFC North, the Packers, the Vikings, the Lions, and I know you made fun of me a little bit, but I really do like the Bears, and I think that this team is it's frisky. You're still giving me the looks. They're a frisky team, and they're going to continue to be. They're the Eagles of last year. Bad team. It's it's just they're going to win some
It
games.
ain't fun to watch. Yeah, I agree. I picked the NFC North too. Same thing. The Lions are playing tough. They don't have the wins to show for it. I still believe in the Vikings. I think they can turn it around. The struggles they've had, and the Packers looks like even though they've struggled, they've got room to grow. So I think that's the best team or the best division
What's
in
the
the
worst?
NFC. Give me the South.
Yeah,
They're awful. People still have the Bucks in their top 5 power rankings. I do not get it. I've been
I'm
hating
not
on
seeing
this
it.
team since the beginning. They are bad. They are hurt all the time. The coaching structure is really weird about how they've broken up this offense and defense and how it's going to run through Tom too. I just do not see it. That you hit the nail on the head about the Saints. They're not good. Now you got Thomas injured, you've got Jarvis injured, you've got Winston with back problems. Kamara has been a shell of themselves. You want to hitch your wagon to Baker Mayfield with Carolina? I don't think so. And then you got the Falcons, who have actually impressed me the most, but they're still not a good team.
Yeah. That whole division is just in flux. It feels like every week any one of those teams could just get blown out. And that's not a great place to be. You don't want to be a team that could be blown out any given week, and it's every single one of them, right? So
Hmm.
that team's or that division's not great. The other division that I think is bad, honestly, is the East, but it's just the Eagles. So the Eagles are great. They're doing great. They're playing really well. But I think the Cowboys are bad, but they're 2-1. I think the Giants are bad, but they're 2-1, and then the Commanders are like a weird sort of bad. They're interesting. Like I can't figure out how they're competing in these games. They look terrible the whole time, but then we'll drop a 70-yard pass in and we'll get a little like fumble recovery touchdown. I don't understand what's going on with that team. But that's the other one I look at this board and I just see like, it's a little rough of a division.
Yeah, the Cowboys have surprised me about how good they've been with Cooper Rush back there. I was really expecting them to kind of shit the bed until Dak came back. And I think at this point it's kind of a mistake to rush him back. I know they're saying week 5. Just wait. Just
Yeah,
wait until you absolutely have to. My most question mark division was the West. I don't know what the Rams are. I think they're a bad team. We don't know how you said the Niners are going to gel together. Arizona is talented in some spots, but
something looks
looks
wrong.
dead awful on defense. They're really bad there. They still get Hopkins back, so we don't know what that's going to look like. And then you've got the Seahawks, who have been surprisingly better than I thought, but they run no plays. Like they are running like 30 or 40 plays a week, and it's just not enough offense. And they should be running the ball all the time. One of these weeks, they had 3 running backs in on the play and threw the ball.
Yep.
The running back threw it for an interception. So I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they're my most question mark division.
Can we expand on the Cardinals for a second? Because I have
Sure.
watched them every week. I don't understand what's going on. It seems, the offseason was weird. Kyler got his
Hmm.
contract, but it's all been like disjointed.
Yeah.
And this team on the field feels disjointed. They're not a bad team on paper. You look at actually who's there and the quarterback, and what is going on?
Well, they're bad in coverage for sure. They're one of the worst teams in coverage on defense. So that's a major problem for them. The offense has always looked not. The offense has been weird when Hopkins is not on the field. When Hopkins is there, then it looks a lot better. Kyler seems to focus in on that number one, and we saw that with Marquise Brown this last week. I think he had 16 targets or 17 targets,
Yeah.
14 catches. So they're talented in some of those positions, and then hey, sometimes Kyler just goes God mode like he did
Yeah.
against the Raiders, and the guy just, I mean, what are you going to do? He's running all over the place. You can't get your hands on him, and then he throws a lightning bolt down the field 40 yards.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I think it's so confusing. It's so frustrating. It's like this is such a weird team, and Kyler can go to this like super sane mode that a lot of people cannot go to. But he looks like he almost just does not care. Like he could care less all the time. It's the most interesting thing. He'll just like,
Yeah, yeah, it's like Cliff Kingsbury is kind of like your his uncles had this startup company that made $1 million, and
yeah,
he's like an executive, but no one knows what he does or how he got the job, and his department's kind of like not that great.
but he's
He's got a couple,
in
but
charge.
he's not getting fired.
Yeah,
Like he wasn't a good college coach,
no.
so I don't know.
And they
Whatever.
just
I mean,
extended them both before the season. That's one to watch moving
and
forward.
the
I just wanted to
GM,
point it out. I just
all three,
Yeah,
all three
everybody
got
just got
extensions.
extended. They just poured buckets of money on this entire situation, and you think that would make you come in skipping and happy, but these guys look like nobody's having any fun out there. And
But I also
that's
don't want to play them.
yeah, I like because they will be the team that can just super sane you to death and you'll lose at the end. But just moving forward, I think they're going to lose a lot of games that they're up
Me
in.
too.
I think they're going to lose a lot of games that they should win because they're a better team than what they're going to get beat by this season. It has nothing to do with that.
They were one of my teams that I said, hey, they're going to be a bad team but fun in fantasy. And we said, maybe they're going to be good. They're not good,
No,
but they're scary.
and they're fun in fantasy. You were dead on with that one. So
Yes,
you
yes, yes.
want to look ahead to next week and see a
Let's do
little
it.
bit of what we're looking at for week 4. So some of your favorite matchups, you had them listed out here. Your first one was Bills Ravens. So I was looking here. Bills Ravens. We've got Sunday 1 p.m. game. Hit me with the highlights. What are you excited about for Bills Ravens?
I want to see Josh Allen versus Lamar.
Yes.
I think that the Bills defense is going to get a couple pieces back. So let's see what that looks like because I think they're athletic enough that they can keep up with Lamar. They're one of the few teams that I've seen in a long time that almost they switch out their whole defensive lines, almost like a hockey team. So
Yeah.
they've got a lot of fresh legs coming in and out, and I think that's going to cause some problems. And I know the Bills are going to be tired coming off of last week, but I think they're going to be mad too. So I think they've got something to prove. On the other side of the ball, how do the Ravens get Dobbins back integrated into the offense? And can they keep this big play, mojo going? Because if they don't have the big plays, I don't believe they are a team that can dink and dunk and move the ball down the field without punting. And you saw that happen at the end of the Dolphins game. They could just not put points up on the board because they couldn't extend a drive when there wasn't a big play. So that's what I want to see. And I think the Bills are favored even though it's in Baltimore.
I know that's an interesting one, right? And I feel like the Ravens we've talked about before. Are you for real games? And I think that this is another one for them, right up against the Bills. I want to see what the Bills versus the do they roll this team? Can the Ravens roll them? It could be any number of outcomes here. Just depending on who has the upper hand and how quickly they go off. We might see a heavy Ravens win. We might see the Bills roll right over them. That would be really exciting. So I think that's a good choice of a matchup this week.
Yeah, the Lamar Jackson, I give you the major league giant, you've got giant balls salute because you are out there playing for your contract and you are going to get paid. You are
Yes.
going to get that fully guaranteed contract because you are insane right now. You're doing it all. So
He is. He is balling out. It's fun to watch. And watching him with Josh Allen doing, just these mobile quarterbacks, but then the way that Lamar is he's an unbelievable talent. Like see, he's
yep.
unlike anything that you've ever seen. I know people do the Michael Vick thing. He's better than
No,
Vick. Has
he is.
he's insanely impressive running around on the field. So I hope he gets every single penny. That would be fun. Just stick it to
Me
him.
too. Yep.
What was
And
your
ruin
next
their
one?
cap. I think I had Dolphins Bengals on there, right? I
Yes, you
think
did.
that
You
was
had a
one that I
Dolphins
wanted to see
Bengals
on
on there.
Thursday. Um, I think the Dolphins are better. I think they're going to win that game. I don't believe that the Bengals have fixed their pass blocking issues. That's their big deal. And Jamar Chase still doesn't look like himself. They're doing a lot of over coverage. They're doing a lot of shell coverages on top of them, so they're not going over the top. And he had a lot of explosive plays last year, and he's not getting them this year. And Burrow is not getting the time he needs. He's not looking as mobile as he has in the past. And they're taking a lot of sacks, and their defense is not generating turnovers or sacks. And I I don't know what to think of the Dolphins yet. They're obviously good, and I think they're going to beat them up. And Tyreek Hill's out there with all the receipts about these Bengals cornerbacks, and I think he's going to cash them in.
Oh boy, I think that they beat up on him too. I think this Bengals team looks a little tired, and it's early, and I kind of want them to kick some dirt on them. It's a Thursday night game. Maybe the Bengals come back next week with long rest and they get to play well. But for now, let's let the Dolphins just run them over a little bit. They've got speed. They're going to come out ready to roll. They just beat the Bills. Let's show the world what we are. I would really like the Dolphins to prove out the prove-its, right? They've got a couple of them now. Like, let's just see it the rest of the way. Just smash the Bengals Thursday night. That'd be a fun game.
And I want to see the white-on-white jerseys with the white helmet for the Bengals. Those looked pretty sick, so I want to see that on TV.
That'll look cool. You had on here Rams Niners. That's the Monday night game.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Rams Niners? Because I think that on just doesn't jump out to me as a super exciting game, but it's an interesting game for sure. I don't.
Well, yeah, I mean, the coaching matchup's going to be talked about nonstop just because all that, and it was the NFC matchup last year. So I just want to see it because I think it's going to answer some questions for me. If the Niners come out and steamroll them, then I'm really going to be in the Rams are not a good team club.
Yeah.
If the Rams get healthy on the Niners and put them in their place, and the Niners look a little bit not together, then I think they can take a little bit more control of the division. So it's still early. It's not going to make a huge difference, but I think you're setting the tone with that game, and that's why I wanted to see that one.
Yeah, it's not a make or break or anything, but I get what you're saying. It's definitely, I think more for the Rams than the Niners. I think I want to see what happens there because this Rams team has just not been impressive at all so far this year, and I just want to see them be cohesive from beginning to end in one game because that offense can do it. We saw it. Allen Robinson can do it. We saw it. It's like let's just piece it together for more than a drive, more than a quarter. They got it. They have to do something with that. I also had a couple matchups that I'm looking at this week. So the first is Jags Eagles. Sunday 1:00 game. I think that game is going to be a fun one. The Eagles are running all over the place right now, throwing all over the place right now. That offense is on fire. And the Jaguars have just been kind of a steady, just steamrolling sort of offense. They're chipping away, they're hitting crossing routes over the middle. They're basically just executing. And I want to see if the execution from the Jaguars can kind of go up against the firepower of the Eagles, where that goes. I think the Eagles get the win, but the Jaguars could really make some massive statement here. If they are a very good team, we'll know by the end of this weekend.
Yeah. I didn't put it on my list. I feel like the Eagles are going to hold on to this one. But if you told me the Jaguars won, I wouldn't be surprised. So yeah, hey, let's line it up and see what happens. I would like to see what happens when Trevor Lawrence gets lit up a little bit because the Eagles are going to bring some pressure on him. So let's see what that looks like this week. But both teams have been good to start out. They're both, top of their division. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. And then just a one more little one to watch, the Seahawks-Lions game. I've been every Seahawks game this year has had something interesting going on in it. They've been fun to watch. They've been frisky. Gino's like slinging it all over the place. DK's looking like Calvin Johnson, honestly. If we could just get a guy to throw this man the ball, he is a beast. He just needs it somewhere near him, and he's going to go up and get it. And There's only a few people I can remember in my lifetime doing that. Julio, Calvin Johnson, DK. These guys look like just on a different level of giant. So you get that Seahawks team, and then the Frisky Lions, the guys that are just absolutely everyone's darlings this year. The favorites of the league, the turnaround story, the Dane Campbell ankle biters. That'll be just a fun game. I hope it's on Red Zone constantly. That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, I thought it was just me kind of secretly rooting for the Lions, and I don't know if it's because of Hard Knocks or what it is, but yeah, man, I want to see them do well. And they're playing these games tough. They kind of had a tough break against Minnesota there at the end, but they've got some talented players. They've got some good personalities, and they play hard. So I want to see them win.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's a lot to look forward to here this coming weekend for the NFL. We'll see a lot of stuff shake out. I think we're starting to get a feel for what teams are for real, what teams aren't, and you can see the matchups kind of leading in that direction. So obviously that's real world. Do you want to do just a little bit of fantasy before we hop off?
Before we get into fantasy, let's take a little step into not real world but not fantasy. So
Okay.
Pro Bowl changes. Did you see those?
Oh, yeah. I did.
What'd you think?
I like it. I mean, I'm up for changing the Pro Bowl however you want to. That it was trash. It's been trash for a long time. Nobody's watched it for anything to do with like the Pro Bowl game, the game itself at least. I think the flag football thing seems interesting.
Me
Sure.
too. I'm all for it.
They'll probably
Let's get
compete
these
harder with that.
Yeah, let's let these guys show their personalities, all the skill competitions they want to do. They want to play horse with kickers. They want to do. I want all that. I would much rather have that stuff than watch them play whatever they've been doing the last how many ever years.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that'll be really exciting just to have something new. And I think the NBA kind of started pushing this first in the recent years with some more changes, just kind of mixing stuff up, And I love the skills challenges and all that stuff for the NBA. The NFL can just snag that and go in a whole different direction with it. Let's see some fun stuff. Let's do different things.
You've seen these small little clips where people play walk ball, where you can only walk and you're trying to cover somebody and the other guy's trying to get open
yes.
the quarterback. They should have that. These dudes do this all the time in the locker room. Just let them do it on TV.
Oh my
You know
gosh.
there'd be a walk ball champion for sure.
That would be funny. I'm just excited to see something new. Is it in Miami again? Do we know? Is it in Orlando?
I don't know.
Just
I didn't
sprinkle
look.
it back out into Hawaii. They could do it in a field. Go to the Field of Dreams. It could be anywhere. I just want it to be fun and something where the guys at least look like they're enjoying it.
Yeah, have them all mic'd up, XFL style. Have them all mic'd up, have them talk, and let them go at it, and let's just go.
Yeah, build some real characters.
And stop inviting 100 people to the Pro Bowl. Like if you get voted in and then you are out for injury and then you have a replacement, the replacement should not be considered a Pro Bowler.
Mm-mm.
We've got 75 Pro Bowlers every year because people decline their invitation. I hate that.
Yeah, if you're not going, you should get to reserve your spot and just eat it.
Yeah. Okay. All right, fantasy talk. Where do you want to start? What do you want to do?
I'll let you lead into it. What are you thinking?
I hate fantasy football so much, and I don't know why every year I play this stupid game and take hours out of my personal life to research and look over everything just for some stupid defense to get a fumble recovery in the end zone on a play that doesn't matter.
Ryan is just bitter because he's doing very well this year, all the way across the board in most of his leagues, but he lost to me this week by 7 points, and I got 8 points off of a fumble recovery and touchdown on the Browns defense on Thursday night. So he's a little salty that our team, even in a win, found a way to screw him, which is hilarious.
Yeah, and you also had Njoku, who had put on Ozzie Newsom's jock
which
strap,
call of the year, right? No one's putting him in there. He wasn't on any boards. He wasn't. I believe in you, David. Come on the pod
Chief.
Anytime, David.
Yeah, we would love to have you.
Yeah, we would love to have you. Please, David.
Okay, so now that that's out of the way, so here's my question for you. What would you tell your future self going into next year?
I feel like I say it every year where it's like you don't want to overreact to week one, but I can't. I heat dropped a couple guys. You sit there for months and you just want nothing more than to see a game, and you have all these thoughts about what it's going to be and how good they're going to be, and then they just disappoint the hell out of you in week one, and you want them to feel the punishment and the pain. But the only one that feels that pain is you. So I'm with you. If I had any advice for myself next year, it would be one, the rookie wide receivers are badass, and at least one of them's going to hit, so you might as well grab a flyer. And then two, the rookie running backs are never good in week one, and don't ever react to them never being good in week one. They always suck. So those
Yeah,
are my
trade
things
trade
for
for them
next
early.
year.
Yeah, my note to myself was any team that has a number one wide receiver, go get them.
Yes,
So
we should call that the Brandon Cooks rule.
yeah, Brandon Cook, Christian Kirk, Lazard already has 2 touchdowns. I know he hasn't put a ton of points up, but these people are getting drafted in the 8th, ninth, 10th, 11th round every year just because they're on a quote unquote bad team, but they're the number one receiver. They're going to catch the ball, and there's more and more throws every year. So that was my one. And then just the patience with these split backfields. Pollard and Zeke and Javante and Gordon and Aaron Jones and Dylan. It's easy to get frustrated on these people and be like, oh, what am I going to do with them? So either one, avoid them, or two, if you're going to take them, just be ready to sit it out for 6 weeks until you figure out what they're going to do.
Yeah, I think the patience is key. I've been trying to do that more over the last, like after week one, I had my heat drops. I've been trying to take a little bit more of a patient approach. I've been holding on to guys that I've went back and thought, okay, who did I believe in before the draft? And I'm trying to go back to that approach and just look at what I believe in still, right? If I thought it was an overall long term, this guy's going to be good for the year, are the first 2 weeks the most important part of it? Probably not. So try and keep the perspective going into next year. I think that'd be good advice too.
Who's your fantasy MVP so far?
Ooh, so far, I think that, whew, that's a good one. Probably Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think that he's probably the fantasy MVP just because he's able to step in right away in a good draft position for most people. He wasn't like the top pick of anybody's board, but he's producing at the highest of levels.
Yep. Yep, that's the same person I had.
Um,
You probably getting him in the 7th or 8th, somewhere in there, and he's wide receiver one.
Yeah, and you mentioned the other, I think, too, with Christian Kirk, just taking anybody's wide receiver one. I think he's in the conversation as well for a fantasy MVP early because if you can get a wide receiver one that on most cases was off the waiver wire or not even drafted or drafted extremely late in a lot of leagues, he could win people leagues. He's going to be able
Oh
to
yeah,
start the rest of the year, and he can be a major piece of why your team is in a championship. A free wide receiver one barely ever happens.
literally free, literally free.
Yep. You never
Phew.
believe it.
All right. What
Well,
else you got for fantasy? Anything?
I think that's it, man. We have a lot to kind of get through coming up. The NBA is coming, the postseason for baseball's coming, and we've got football every single week from now until Christmas and beyond. So we're gonna be here for a while talking about all sorts of things. So anything outside of the NFL that you're looking at moving forward here?
No, we had NBA Media Day. There was some good stuff on there. Pat Beverly just getting that preseason MVP with all his quotes, so that was fun. If you haven't seen those, look them up. But yeah, I'm starting to get into my NBA study now. I want to start looking it over. Still excited about the Cavs. Still excited about where we're going to fall in the East. And unfortunately, Boston is having a situation there with their head coach and everything they've got going on. But that's going to be a problem. That's
Yeah.
going to be a problem for them, and not that that's good for us, but the Bucks are going to be very tough. The Nets, I want to see in person. I want to see them play before I say what they're going to do. And then I think the Hawks and us are on a very similar trajectory with our offseason and who we have on our roster. So it's going to be interesting. It's just going to be, can we stay healthy and can we play defense?
Yeah, can we compete? Well, no more soon. It's the countdown is we're under a month. We're gonna start to see real games with our real lineup with actual
Mm-hmm.
Donovan Mitchell in a Cavs jersey on the floor with our other All Stars, and I'm I'm pumped, man. So a lot of fun times to come here real soon.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, guys, I think that's it for us this week. Thank you for hopping on another episode of Did You See That? We will be back soon. Have a great week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.